Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for our weekly office hours session. My name is George Soto, one of the co founders here at Asset Mule, joined by my awesome co founder and CEO, Justin Dorfman, who I'm always so blessed and feel so honored to work with all the time. Also, Dane, too, but Dane, my other co founder, is behind the keyboard, the command. Is it the command portal? I should know this.
I
We've
don't
been texting 20
know.
years. In any case, today we're going to dive into 5 top templates that you need for your sales asset library. And so, we're going to dive into how to think about it, what they are, why they're important, and as product marketers out there, how you can start to look at these and think about how do I incorporate them into my strategy and certainly into what I create. Or maybe you have a couple of these already and can give us some tips on how to make it better, or maybe we're missing some things. And of course, sales folks out there, if you're watching, maybe you can do the same. So again, these are going to be some great sales assets to add to your toolbox or toolkit. Now, if you do have any of those questions, feedback, suggestions, we are not those like know-it-all type of individuals. So we'd love to hear how we can make this better. And again, if we're missing anything, so go ahead and comment on the comment wall. You're probably watching this on our favorite LinkedIn or on YouTube. So I'll be monitoring the comment wall and and then pulling in those questions towards the end. Now, if they are like a super urgent question, like you're in between eating a sandwich at lunch and you're like, oh, I need to go to a meeting. Can you answer this question? Just let us know. Hey, this is an urgent question. Can you answer this? And we'll get to it right away. Otherwise, again, we'll have a Q&A section of this session at the end, and we'll dive in a little deeper. But without further ado, Justin, why don't you take it away?
Yeah, and this is a fun one, I think, because one thing that I love about uh, our job, George, is we get to chat with all kinds of product marketers. We get to work with them, the best product marketers out there, really, right? Work hand in hand with them, building out their sales asset libraries, right? And as a former salesperson turned product marketer, really focused on sales enablement, I I love geeking out with these guys, with these folks, right? And really learning from them too, right? Learning a ton from them. And over the last year, I think we've worked with some of the best product marketers, hundreds of them, uh, hand in hand, and really got to learn best practices in terms of what are those top templates that are needed, and build that sort of library and asset mule to help our users. So one thing, though, that I really want to highlight that I've noticed in talking to uh, tons of product marketers is the best out there aren't just thinking about how you know building sales assets is sort of one-off things like a deck or a one pager or a case study. Really, what they're doing and what separates them and their sales asset libraries, I think, is um, they're thinking about it across the buyer's journey, right? So before building these assets or these templates, they're mapping out the buyer's journey, right? They're thinking about their buyers and putting themselves in the buyer's shoes at each of the stages of the buyer's journey and trying to understand what are the questions they're asking, what are the objections they have, and what are the bits of information we can give them in the form of assets that can give them the confidence and the motivation to move to the next step in the buyer's journey, right? So as we walk through these 5 templates today, that's the viewpoint that we're going to take. That's how we're going to look at the sales asset library. Is we're going to look at 5 templates across the buyer's journey and how you can use them at each one of these steps to really move your buyers forward and accelerate your sales cycles. So with that, let me share my screen and let's dive right in.
And while Justin is doing that, I'm going to go ahead and put a blog post that is in the comments area about buyer's journeys. So for folks out there who want to maybe get a little deeper into the concept.
Cool. And before we dive into sort of the templates themselves, for those that are newer to Asset Mule, um, we essentially make it super quick and easy for product marketers, sales enablement folks, and sales folks as well to create personalized and interactive sales assets without needing any design or development resources. We have a template library that you can use, full of one-pagers and case studies and competitive pages, really any sort of sales asset template that you need, available for you to copy, add your colors and fonts to, add your content to, and add to your library in just a matter of minutes. And we also give you the ability to create your own custom templates. But as I said, today we'll dive into 5 of our templates that are in our library and really that we feel are the top 5 templates. If you didn't have anything else, these will really go a long way in enabling your sales team to drive engagement with your buyers and accelerate sales cycles across the buyer's journey. So in showing you this, I want to switch over to a new view that we have in Asset Mule beyond the gallery view, which is our buyer's journey view. And you'll see here, we've defined a handful of stages of the buyer's journey, 4 stages: the awareness stage, the consideration stage, the decision-making stage, and finally post-sale, the success stage, right? And as I mentioned, the best product marketers out there are thinking about this from the perspective of what stage are our buyers in? And within those stages, what are the questions or the concerns that they have as they're thinking about purchasing this particular product, right? So starting with the awareness stage, generally speaking, buyers here are asking the question of, what do you do, right? Like, what is it that you do? What problem do you solve? How is it relevant to me? And what sort of impact can I expect if I were to purchase your product? So here, assets or templates such as one-pagers, decks, and so on are sort of overview one-pagers and overview decks are really, really valuable. But the one that I'm going to show you today that I really like to use personally, and I've seen a lot of success with our customers, is our outbound templates, and specifically our outbound outbound template with interactive demo in it. So I'm going to copy it here and just walk you through it from top to bottom. So this one pager, this outbound one pager, again, it's designed to be personalized and interactive and really answer those questions for the buyer in terms of what you do, what problems you solve, and how you can help them, but in a really interactive way where they actually can, get a feel for who you are as a company and a person, but also for your product. So you'll see at the top, we start with a personalized header where you can add your logo and leave a space so that the sales team can add the prospect's logo. And again, we want to make this personalized. We want to add that human touch to really stand out in the outbound, right? So you can put in, the salesperson can put in a personalized message here and even drop in a nice quick Loom video to add that human touch. And then the rest of the template can kind of be more standardized, right? Where you've got the customer logos. We do have this concept of snippets where the sales team can swap in the most relevant logos based on industry or company size and things like that, but so generally standardized. A quick overview of the problem that you solve and how you solve it with your solution. And then this is really my favorite part, embedding an interactive demo of the product right into the one pager, right? So that they can actually get a feel for it and they can step through the product even before jumping on a call with your sales team. As we continue to go down the results, right, the key metrics that you want to highlight to show the type of impact that your customers are getting, the quote, customer quote to add some social proof here. And again, snippets come in really handy here, allowing your sales team to swap in and out different quotes based on what might be more relevant for that particular prospect they're reaching out to. A collection of other assets that you can embed in here, just links to other resources that might be interesting for them, such as pricing pages or customer success stories that are on your website. And then finally, embedding a calendar in here so that your sales team can actually convert meetings right from the outbound one pager. So again, this is a really, really great template that you'll want in your library to enable your sales team at those early stages to really engage buyers in that awareness stage, to help them understand who you are, what problems you solve, and how you can solve them in a really engaging way. So that's template number one. But let's now move to the consideration stage. And here, your buyers are probably asking the question, okay, I know what you do now, and I know who you are, but who else is working with you, right? And who else similar to us, right? Maybe same industry, maybe same use case. And at what sort of results, how are they using you guys, and what sort of results or impact benefits are they experiencing as a result? So here, case studies come in really handy. And the template that I really love is this case study with video. So I'm going to again copy this and walk you through it. And again, key here is personalizing and adding interactivity to the experience. So starting off with a header of how a specific customer achieved a relevant result with your solution, and having a video here. So we see a lot of case studies with images, and I know they say images are worth 1,000 words. I think videos are worth 1,000,000 words, right? So putting in that video, that customer testimonial video that tells the story of that customer can be really, really impactful in driving that story home. And then following up with sort of high level highlights, right? What was the challenge that they faced prior to bringing on your solution? And a little quote here, right, to add to the story. And what was the solution that they then adopted, and how did it help them overcome these challenges, right? And again, more social proof with that quote. And what was the results that they experienced in the end from adopting your solution, and some key metrics. These become really memorable, right, when you have those key metrics in there. And then a final quote to cap it off. So again, great template. Template number 2 here, the case study with video to add to your library, really to add that social proof and answer those questions of who's using you guys that's similar to us, and how are they using you, and what sort of benefits are they experiencing. But also at that consideration stage, we, our buyers tend to ask the question of, well, how are you different from maybe a existing solution that I'm using, or that I'm also considering, right? So these competitive comparison pages become really, really valuable to answer those questions. I'm going to copy this one here, the competitive comparison asset. And again, the idea here is, to give them reasons why to choose you over XYZ competitor, right? And highlight some key differentiators that separate you from the competition. And then that famous, side-by-side comparison, right? Based on the features, the use cases that they really care about, how do you stand apart, right? Why are you better versus this particular competitor? Maybe highlighting some of those features in a deeper way. And then, adding again some social proof in terms of logos, relevant logos, but also a relevant quote that maybe speaks to those key points that are important to that particular prospect as they're evaluating you versus that competitor. So that's template number 3, the competitive comparison asset. Now we move to the decision-making stage, right? And this is the stage where essentially the goal is to convert your champion or your prospect into a champion. And it's the point where they start to bring in other stakeholders, the CFO, their boss, right? And these folks are probably asking questions like, well, how much is this thing going to cost, right? Or, what does, the implementation plan look like, and how does ongoing support work, and so on, right? As well as the sort of foundational information on what the product does and the problems that you're going to solve for them, and the benefits that they can expect to experience, and all that stuff. So that's really where that proposal comes in handy as that central asset to bring in all this valuable information. And you'll see here, again, adding that personalization, adding that human touch with this introduction and a short video that you can put in here. And then again, highlighting their core challenges and goals. What's their current state? What are the challenges that they're experiencing, and what are the goals that they have in mind? And how are you going to help them overcome those challenges and achieve those goals? And a recap of your solution, again, with a nice video here, really to give them a deeper view on the product in action. And then starting to ask those questions on what else is included, the customer success program, and additional professional services that they'll get, or that they can opt in for, right? And then the key question for the CFO, the pricing, right? How much is this going to cost? And maybe what are some options that we can consider? And then finally, the path forward, right? What are the steps in the evaluation process? What are the steps in the procurement process? What does onboarding look like? And what's the timeline for all of these things? And I think a lot of people call this the mutual action plan, really getting on the same page as a partner to figure out a plan through implementation and adoption. And then again, always great to have some social proof here, some case studies, some quotes, and then great to have some frequently asked questions. And again, this is going to be a dynamic asset. So as questions come up, you can add questions in here and answers in here and have everything available for them in one place as this gets passed around the buying committee. So that's the fourth. And then let's now say that we were successful. We brought on that customer. We signed them on. Now it's all about getting them to value and success as fast as possible. And a really great template to have in your library for that, maybe for your CS team, is a getting started guide. And this is actually the one we use ourselves at Asset Mule that you can copy and you can add your content to. And it starts with a welcome message, right? Obviously, we want to welcome them on board, share how excited we are to work with them. And also give them a little bit of an overview of what's in this asset. And essentially what it is are 5 steps in this case, simple steps to get started, right? In our case, setting up your brand theme. And we like to have a little bit of a sort of description, but a nice video that they can step through and help them through that process. Step 2, in our case, creating your first template using an Asset Mule template, right? So we've got a description and a video here. Creating custom templates using the visual template builder, creating snippets to scale asset creation and personalization, and then finally personalizing assets for each prospect, sharing it with them, and tracking when they engage. So a nice 5 steps to get started with short videos. Really key is to keep these under 5 minutes so that they're digestible, but really so that they can get the information they need really to step through the process and get to success. So those are the top 5 templates that I would recommend. And as we've worked with product marketers across various industries and various stages, that we see really being the foundation of their sales asset template library. But actually, I have one final bonus that I wanted to share with you guys as well. Again, we shared, if we walk through that process, we shared 5 assets with our customer, right? And that can be great in terms of all the information we've given them, but it also can be kind of challenging for them to manage all that information, right? They're sent at different stages of the buying process, maybe over a 3-month period of time. They're sent across maybe dozens of emails, and for them to keep track of those assets and be able to refer back to them can be quite a challenging thing. So we also have this template here, which is the Asset Hub. And this is really, really great to be sort of a single place where they can access all the assets that you've curated for them and you've shared with them, all from a single location. So you'll see here the ability to add your logo, again, add their logo, have that personalized message introducing this asset and how they can use it. And then the idea here is to have a handful of links to each one of those. So the one pager, this is a kind of a standard asset hub that we have here, but you can align it with those templates that I just mentioned. The one pager, the case study, the competitive page, the proposal, the getting started guide, right, can all be baked in here. All you have to do is add text, add an icon to go along with the link, right? And then add the URL for the link. And again, as you're putting stuff in here, Asset Mule is going to give you the ability to just pull it in. Because it's part of your template library already, or your asset library already, right? And then finally, your calendar here. So again, if they have any questions at any time, they can book a meeting with your sales rep right from the one pager, from the Asset Hub. So again, a great template to have in your library so that as you're working through the buyer's journey and you're sharing all this information, you're not making it hard for your buyer to refer to those links, right? They're all in one place, ready for them to access and for them to use, and for them to bring their stakeholders on board, and ultimately bring you on board as the chosen vendor. So I know that's a lot to take in. I'm going to pause here, and I want to pause for any questions or any feedback, ideas.
Awesome. As I just continue to have conversations, buyer journey piece is so huge, right? Like, we just hear it all the time. We had a really, really awesome demand gen ABM strategist on our podcast that we recorded earlier today. And where did she go to? Buyer journey, right? Like, and she was even just talking about, like, from the ABM perspective, why the buyer journey is so important, right? So it was like another layer of segmentation. Of course, we talk here primarily about one-to-one sales engagements, right? One-to-one sales assets, but everything has to rally around the buyer's journey. So just I love the way you just showed that, and of course, I love that visualization tremendously.
Yeah, and one thing that I'll just say, right? If you're thinking about you're building out your template library and you're thinking about, let's start with 5 templates, which is a very reasonable starting point, right? You may first thought maybe, okay, we're going to create 5 different one-pagers, right, for different personas. And while that might be valuable, it only hits really that one stage of the buyer's journey, right? That awareness stage, where they're trying to figure out what you do, what problems you solve, and how you're relevant for them, right? And you're missing out on all these other steps in the buyer's journey. So I would actually start with a high-level one-pager, and again, it can be an outbound asset or it can be just a overview one-pager, and then fill the rest of those 5 templates in your library with the case studies, the competitive pages, the things that your sales team can use across the buyer's journey, so that you have a fully populated library that supports the entire sales process and buyer's journey. And then add the layers, then add the version that is for a different persona or different use case or a different industry, right? And then add the other case studies, right? The 4 or 5 other case studies, and then the other competitive pages that speak to other competitors, and so on, right? So think about that. That's the way that I would recommend it. And again, working with hundreds of product marketers over the last year and learning best practices from them, that's a great foundation to build upon versus starting very narrow with just one type of asset, right? And doing 5 different versions of it. So that would be my recommendation. And that's kind of the thinking of what we just walked through.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. Well, folks, we are coming up on time here. If you do have any questions, comments, feedback, do let us know. This is the time to do so. And Justin, I just realized that we are both wearing a very similar color-ish, at least in the zone of our Asset Mule red. So that's cool. And that was completely unscripted.
Yeah. I tend to wear this, and then when I look at it, I'm like, oh, it matches our brand colors. So that's a nice coincidence, right?
Absolutely. Well, folks, I guess we'll go ahead and start to wrap up again. If you do have any questions last minute here, go ahead and add them in the comments section. If you do want to chat one-on-one, just let us know. Go to our website, assetmule.ai. You can click on book a demo, and that goes straight to our personal calendar, and you can get a call immediately on the books. But if you want to join another session, we do these pretty much every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, and with some exceptions, I'm sure on the holidays we might take a break or so. But otherwise, we're always here again every Wednesday, 2 p.m. Eastern. What is that, 11 a.m.
Yep.
Pacific? I forgot. After living in the base for so long, I should know this. If you are an existing Asset Mule user, thank you so much for using it. If you are not and want to take a peek and kick the tires, it is completely free to sign up, and you can get access to all the functionality currently with the free plan, and you can get up to 3 assets for free to to kick the tires on, but unlimited templates, snippets, etc. So definitely check it out. It's a very, very low risk. I guess it's risk if you're like wanting to hang out on Instagram or LinkedIn, I guess at this point, versus maybe kick the tires in something new, which I totally get and don't have no judgment around that. But if you're not also following us on LinkedIn, go ahead and follow us. If you like, we post as much valuable content as we think is useful out there. So we spend a lot of time on our podcast on content like this. As a small team, it's really important that we share our voice and our perspective, but also highlight the voice and perspective of others in our industry that are talking about these topics that we love in go-to-market, product marketing, sales, etc., sales enablement, buyer enablement, right? Those sort of things. So without further ado, have a wonderful, wonderful day, everyone.